Hey podcast listeners, my name is Allison.
And I'm Chelsea. Welcome to our weekly episode of the Graduate Podcast.
A podcast that inspires young adults to embrace and flourish through the many facets of life.
We look forward to sharing our craziest stories since moving to opposite ends of the country. We got some juicy relationship details here, some professional tips there, and so much more lined up for you.
Right. We want to remind you in the beauty of your transformation as you graduate through life.
With that being said, let's jump right into it.
The Graduate Podcast starts now.
Hey.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to our official first episode of the Graduate Podcast. My name is Allison.
And I'm Chelsea. Hey, everyone.
Yes, we are so excited to have you here. And yeah.
Yeah, welcome to our very first episode. We're so excited. We've been manifesting this for a couple of months now, huh, Allison? When did we start talking about this?
Ooh, it's been a little minute. I think since before January of this year. So
That's when I saw you for your birthday.
yeah. So we're a little over 5 months in the making, and we are so glad that you are already here. But if you are not already, make sure you follow us on our Instagram, which is at the Graduate Podcast, and we also have a Twitter, which is currently TGP Starts Now, and we also have a Facebook group. So definitely tune in, get involved, get engaged, and
Yes.
we are just so excited to go ahead and get this started.
Let's just jump right into it. Graduating in life.
So I had come across this quote that says, "Sometimes you will never know the value of a moment before it becomes a memory." This is by Dr. Seuss. And so as we get ready to jump into the idea of graduating through life, Chelsea, I really want to talk about how did you get to this point. Let's talk about all the different things in your 22 years of life that got you to this point, academic, interpersonally, professionally, all of that.
Ooh, okay. Well, this is going to be a lot to unpack here, so thanks for just sort of being patient with me. But I think if I could talk about myself on this day, right, this second, I would probably describe myself as kind of a little bit of a workaholic. I really like getting my hands dirty into all new types of things. But it wasn't always like that. It wasn't me born out of my mama and I have all this confidence to try all these new things. It's never like that, I think. And so really learning about how I want myself to grow and sort of having that intention from the get-go, sort of when I was little, being in all these different types of environments and wanting to just sort of pursue my growth and keep developing out of the different environments that I was placed in is sort of the theme and the common theme that I'm still seeing in my life now. And so, yeah, I know that was a little bit vague, but I think we could talk a little bit more about the specifics here in a bit.
Absolutely. So as far as school goes, where, typically when people think of the Graduate Podcast, a lot of people are thinking strictly academics. So let's focus on that a little bit first, and then we can dive into a few other aspects. So let's talk about how you got from high school to college to where you are now.
Ooh, okay. So from high school, I was in cheer, and so I know that sort of has a lot of connotations to it in and of itself. But I also liked challenging myself academically, but I will say that I wasn't the best student. I just knew that I liked challenging myself, and I liked trying to, get the grades that I really want to. And to be quite honest, I think that I took a lot of classes that I knew I wasn't necessarily ready for, but I did it for the clout. Like, I wanted to be in the classes where smart people are engaged in, and I wanted to push myself to be at sort of the high performing level that they're at. And anyways, finishing up high school, I wanted to go to college, but I sincerely thought that Miramar was my only option because my grades, like I mentioned, weren't the best. I applied to some of the Cal State schools. Like, I think I applied to Sacramento. I think I applied to San Marcos. I applied to State because I know San Diego State, is really easy to get into. And I only applied to one school out of state. And that one out of state school was the University of Hawaii. Anyways, I got into it, and that's why I decided to sort of leave San Diego. I decided to stick with Hawaii as my option. And the reasoning behind that mostly was just, again, pushing myself to get out of the environment that I was once in. And I'm going to keep saying that because once you get comfortable is when you start getting complacent. And that is very, very true for me. If it's not true for you,
oh, definitely
I'm so
is.
jealous.
It definitely is true for me.
Yeah, but but that was sort of the common theme, and that's why I decided to go out of state. That's why I decided to go to Hawaii, and I was really proud of that because this whole time I was ready to settle for Miramar College, which there isn't anything bad about that. It's just that as I mentioned, my intention was to leave and keep growing and keep trying a new environment.
Right, absolutely. And so even along with that, I feel like it's pretty dope watching how much you've been able to change and grow as a woman through really pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone, pushing yourself into a new environment, pushing yourself into a place that you have never been before, right?
Right, yeah. I have never been to Hawaii until I dedicated my 4 years there.
Right, and that's the same exact thing for me in my college career. And so even once you got to that point, how was it that you were able to really remain focused and not compare your journey to others?
I think that it was really easy to not compare myself to others because I quite literally removed myself from all of my friends and family from San Diego. Honestly, truthfully, I did not really have many friends going into Hawaii. I was just literally praying, crossing my fingers. I would be friends with my roommate, and luckily we did.
Right.
But but because I think I was away from all of the at-home distractions, whatever you want to call it, I was able to just focus on myself and really just pretend that everything is new. I was starting from a blank piece of paper, and I really felt comfortable with that idea.
That's so inspiring.
It's not easy though, because when I think like my family members or close friends, leave San Diego. Yeah, do it. It's the best thing that will happen to you.
They're like, what the hell? Why would you
They're
ever?
Like, no, I love San Diego. And I love San Diego too. But hey, to each their own. I love pushing and challenging myself. And if you're listening to this right now, maybe that's what you need to.
Right, facts. And so really jumping into the bulk of our message for today, I really do want to touch back on comparing your journey. And so Chelsea has a pretty interesting story on what things looked like once she graduated college. So we've just heard a little bit of her post-college experience, her during the college experience. So let's talk about your post-grad story. What happened there? What in the world happened?
What in the world
just what shook your world up?
Oh man, and thank you for bringing this up because I don't think I like talking about this story because I'm trying to suppress it and pretend like it never happened, but this episode is about embracing your journey, so come take a ride with me on how I managed my post-grad crisis. Maybe you're going through the same thing. So I graduated in December of 2019, and I'm going to start this story back a little bit, October 2019. I'm getting ready to graduate, and undergrad was super awesome, pretty chill, and I realized, I think I could do this in grad school. What more is 2 more years, right? And I can get a master's degree. It sounds good to me, whatever. So in October, I decided, let's do it. I want to apply. And I speak with my advisor, or I try to email him back and forth. And I think like a lot of colleges, especially my college, it's pretty small. The department is small. And so these people, they have a lot on their plate. I ask him, I would like to apply into the program. Please have a meeting with me. And we talk. Yes. And now we're in November because it was sort of the end of October. We're well into November now. I'm talking with my advisor, and he's saying, you know what? You sound like a really good candidate. Public administration seems like an awesome fit for you. Why don't you go ahead and apply? And at this point in time, it's November. I graduate the next month, and the spring semester would start up in that January. And at this point, me speaking with my advisor and submitting an application into grad school is a little bit late. And I thought, it's okay, no worries, because I got the okay from the department, and the person who was going to be approving my application is the same person I was talking with. And so my odds of approval were looking really good anyway. So now we're into December. I graduate. Alison's in Hawaii with me. So much fun. Graduated.
I'm doing a dance right now to celebrate being in Hawaii.
Oh, yeah. I graduated, super awesome. Christmas comes around, awesome. Celebrating with my family. And then New Year's rolls around, and I go to California to spend New Year's. And once that work week began after New Year's Day is when I started sending out my emails and calling people. And I'm like, hey, so how's my application doing? Like, am I going to, start on time? And at this point, I know I submitted my application late, but I'm trying to do all of the right steps to make sure that I start on time. Everything is processed, everything is paid for, which is a huge thing, right?
Absolutely.
And so, anyways, now we're well into January. I'm still not accepted. I'm being told, just wait, it's a department thing. It's like a department ping pong. It's like the grad division telling the public administration department they're waiting on things, blah, blah, blah. Mind you, during this time of the waiting period, I'm not accepted. However, I'm sitting in class and I'm doing the coursework. I'm getting inspired, connecting with my peers. Like I'm walking the walk, and I think I'm talking the talk.
Right.
And time is ticking, and January is going by, and January is now coming to an end. And now we're well into February. And at this point in time, I'm like going cuckoo crazy. I'm like, how the hell am I supposed to pay for grad school? I'm sitting in these classes, I'm dedicating all of this time. Like, why can't you just boom, 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 expedite that process and the paperwork?
Right.
And during this whole time of chaos, because this is a couple of months now, right? It started in November, we're going into December. January is when things are starting to amp up. Now we're well into February, and I'm like, what the hell? Like, I think I'm doing all the right steps. I'm trying to be ambitious. I already, mind you guys, and this is going to be a little bit me comparing myself, like, I graduated a semester late. I was supposed to graduate spring 2019, and I walked December 2019, and I think that was sort of the foundation of me trying to expedite this grad school process. There was no money, there was no prize for me to go into grad school the semester right after I graduated. I could have waited until fall,
right.
But I just kept pushing myself, and I'm just like, what the hell? Why isn't this working? So as I mentioned, we're well into February. I barely got accepted like the last week of February. And at that point in my time, there was truly no way for me to finance that semester.
Right.
Like at that point in time, all of the loans were, reimbursed to whatever accounts, and all of the student loans, even like the private student loans, they're good for that semester. That was already processed months prior. And so after having gone through all that processed paperwork, etc., I decided to withdraw my acceptance letter. And that was really, really hard for me because I didn't notice, or I didn't realize until after the experience, how much I longed for the title of being called a student. I think that when you call yourself a student, I think that there's a lot that you can hold, and there's so much opportunity with calling yourself a student that I didn't want to not be a student.
Right. Damn. And it's crazy because when I think back, like, I remember all of our conversations about, is this going to work out? Is this not going to work out? Is this for me? Is this not for me? And so I think it's pretty dope. But, like, what I'm just trying to understand, what is that connection with being identified as a student? Is that something that you give in yourself, or is this something that anyone else has imposed on you? Where did that come from?
I think it was a little bit half-half. I think that during my student experience, and I'm sure that this is time for another episode, but I loved being ambitious. Mm-hmm. I love saying that I'm studying XYZ, and I'm willing to do ABCD XYZ because I was a student and I didn't want to limit myself. And I think that when people in the professional field hear that you're a student, they're kind of like, oh, cool, like,
right.
I can throw whatever at you
Right.
in a way.
Super excited to help feed into you and nourish you.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think that once that was taken away, I was just going to be another professional. And it was going to be a little bit more so, yeah, come in and let me show you. It would be more so, okay, what are you bringing to the table? What can you do?
Right. And I feel like not only that, within your situation, I feel like it was just so crazy because you had this expectation for the longest time that not only are you going to continue school, but there was not really a plan B. And so the fact that you were able to get a job, which I'll let you speak on, but the fact that you were able to secure a job within that time period is like a blessing, because I know people who search for jobs for months before they find something that they're even remotely happy with. So talk about how that shaped your journey, and like, how did you even learn, how did you how do I want to say, like, how were you accepting of the fact that you kind of had to move from one reality to a completely different reality within such a short period of time, and how you adjusted? And what are your thoughts on, somebody who might be comparing their journey to yours, or if you've ever kind of like looked to the side on the track to see if you're, up to par, behind, or in front of anybody else?
Yeah, this is all really, really good questions. So, after the fact that I realized that I'm not going to be going to grad school after sitting in the month, I was lucky enough and very, very blessed that I was able to, during the times of uncertainty, because a little side note about me, I can be, no, okay, well, be real with me, Allison. I can be very, like, worst case scenario type of person. And so, I think, you know what? This is actually luck. I'll be very honest. I was proposed a job offer because my name was mentioned during a couple of conversations when a nonprofit organization was seeking help for a legislative campaign. And so I was reached out. Somebody had emailed me and text messaged me asking, "Hey Chelsea, I heard that you're graduated. Would you be willing to help on for this campaign?" And at that time, I was like when she had first texted me, it was sort of in the midst of all of the am I going to go to grad school? Am I going to go to grad school? And so I kind of gave her a soft, "I'm interested."
Right.
And so it was sort of the timing of, the decline of grad school and having that little something be on the side there. Like someone was interested in me, some campaign was interested in me and had reached out to me. I think I was just more so lucky with having that. And I wanted to give you guys some background. Like, I'm not just someone like, I'm super awesome and some random nonprofit organization had scouted me. I was working with this nonprofit organization like throughout my college career, and I had actually won, an advocacy award from them, so they are familiar with my work and, what I'm capable of. And so when I had mentioned, I think during that award, that I am graduating, they were probably like, "Oh, bing bing, Chelsea, money, wishing we could put it to work." So that was sort of how I was able to find a job in the midst of, me not being a student anymore. It was really, really uncertain, and I wasn't head over heels super, super duper excited for that job, I'll be very honest, but it was something that I was able to take. As I've mentioned time and time again, I'm taking that, and I am going to be determined to grow from whatever I'm taking.
Right. That's so dope. So I think with that, I think it's really cool that even though you had this vision for yourself, even though, it kind of went left, even though it didn't work out the way that it was, quote unquote, supposed to be, it's really dope that you were really resilient. You were able to keep your head up and, okay, well, if this doesn't work out, what's next? And let's hop onto this opportunity. Let's take advantage. And so with that, are you still considering going? Not a problem. Are you still considering completing your master's?
I I am considering completing my master's. However, now I think that because of this little crisis I went through, I'm more comfortable about doing it on my own timeline. And not to mention with the craziness of COVID, I'm feeling even more so relaxed about not wanting to get my master's degree right away.
That's
I think
dope.
the whole world needs to go through this healing process.
No, for sure. That's a fact, for sure. So at this moment in time, do you still ever like compare yourself to others? Because I know I'm getting ready to begin my master's. Like, do you ever look at me like, oh, Alison is doing this or that, or like, what are your thoughts on that?
Oh yeah, I'm nervous. I think that it's a little bit easier to take things day by day, obviously, and just focusing on the now. But every now and then, I look to you, Alison, and I'm like, in 2 or 3 years, she's gonna come out of this, and who knows where I'll be, because knowing who I am, I can say yes to everything, and it can take me onto a completely different track, and we've grown up together, and I think that when I was little, I've always wanted to be in some sort of like health professional field, a little different realm, but sort of in the same realm where you're coming from. And so I'm just a little bit nervous, obviously, to disappoint, not only myself, but also others in my family.
That's understandable. So I guess going back to that opening quote, knowing the value of a moment before it becomes a memory. How are you keeping your head up? Like, how are you, reassuring your confidence, reassuring that, at this moment, I'm okay with where I'm at. Of course, you're striving for better. You're always looking to level up and graduate through life, of course, the Graduate Podcast. But, like, how are you maintaining your confidence?
I think that everyone will find their own practices, but some of the ways that I keep my confidence is I reflect on the past. Everyone is different, but I like to reflect a little bit on the past just to recognize where I'm at now. Because a Chelsea 1 year ago would not be sitting at home in her desk talking to a microphone and recording an episode of the Graduate Podcast. You know what I mean? And so when I think of little things like that, I realize, you know what? You're changed so much, and whatever time frame that you did, it's amazing. And even now, to take that a step further, whatever you're going through now, whatever challenges or whatever negative implications that you're feeling right now, it's going to be a memory soon, and you're going to find out new information tomorrow or the next week or the next year, and things are going to be different. And that's something that you can always look forward to, that things are going to be changing, and things can get better if you allow it to and you put in the work.
I love it. That's a word. Wait till your mother. And so, yeah, wow, that was deep. That was powerful. I really like that.
Alison, I want to know, thank you for asking everything about me. I want to know, what are some things that you're doing to take the time to get to know yourself? Because we didn't have so much time to talk about how multifaceted you are and all the things that you do, but I'm sure that you can give some direction to our listeners about how can you get to know yourself? What do you do?
Right. So a little bit of a background. I just graduated from Howard University earlier this month, and so I'm so excited. And this is the first summer since I began my college career that I have like any type of a summer vacation, because I've been doing summer classes every single year, which is crazy. I don't recommend it. Please don't do it. Please don't do it. But yeah, so I'm definitely taking advantage of this time right before I go into my program to spend a little bit more time with myself, get to know myself a little bit more. So I think the main things that I'm doing is I'm reading, I'm listening to podcasts, and I'm journaling. I have a journal by me at all times of the day. If I'm listening to something and it inspires me, I write it down. I just actually watched the Michelle Obama documentary on Netflix. Have you seen it yet?
No, I have not.
You gotta watch it.
It's on Netflix? Oh, man.
Yes, it's so good. Oh, my gosh. So, like, even listening to that, I was just taking notes and observing, because, like, I just look to people who inspire me, people who have outstanding qualities that I hope to embody and that I hope to be So I think that's my main thing. I'm really just taking time to like listen to myself, catching myself if I'm being negative, giving myself time to feel, giving myself time to process. I think that's been my main thing. What about you? How are you getting to know
Yeah.
yourself during this like work at home period?
This is pretty crazy. I think that one of the things, I agree with a lot of the things that you're saying, but one to take it a step further, taking note of also what your body really enjoys. I think that it's really easy for like a lot of people to remember bad experiences, you know, because they're
Right.
so vivid. But if you take note of what your body enjoys and kind of take her there or take him there, and also just trying to learn new things in whatever that setting is. For example, I love the beach. I know I love the beach, or I love the forest. And if you can go there or not during this time, do it. And then while you're at it, maybe take a podcast that you downloaded. Take this podcast that you downloaded, or bring a book with you, and just sort of, you know, do something that you like while you're still trying to learn something new.
Right. Are you currently reading anything?
I am. I wanted to share. I'm reading this book called Brown Skin, White Minds, and I think it's a pretty bold title, yeah. But it's basically about Filipino American and post-colonial psychology. And quite literally, I'm only like 3 chapters into the book. I'm so triggered. It's like basically talking about the historical trauma and post-colonization things that my Filipino culture had gone through, and how it's literally shaped the way that like Filipinos think. And I think it's really, really cool. They deep dive into some topics that I can't even talk about yet. I'm not ready.
Right. Yeah, I'm currently reading the 4 Agreements. I'm like on the last 20 pages. I feel like everybody has read or should read the 4 Agreements. And it's basically kind of all about introspection and the way you carry yourself and the way you think about things and the way you pretty much agree to live your life. So I think that that's been pretty helpful, at least for me, just reminding myself like, okay, this life is about Allison, and what does Allison want to do with this life? Okay, Allison wants to sow onto other people. Okay, how is she going to do that? And then, of course, this was born, and my YouTube channel was born, and then my academic career was born, and then my relationship was born, and, you know, oh my gosh.
Right. It's like hard to keep track of all of these different things that are going on in our life, but sometimes that's what you got to do, you know, just to keep hustling during life and practice different things to improve yourself and just be comfortable in this life.
Right. So I feel like thinking about like the entire journey of it all, like how do you embrace this journey, like, because like you just said, we have a lot going on. We're a lot of people to, or we're, how does it go, like we're somebody to everybody. No, that's not how it goes. How does it go? Do you know what I'm saying? You're somebody, fuck it, whatever. Anyways. Yeah, so like how do you embrace the fact that you are multifaceted, that you're doing so many things? You recently launched your Hot Girl Honey business, you're working, you are launching a podcast. How are you managing all of that? How are you embracing the chaos of this journey?
I'm embracing it. I'm loving it. I don't really know how I'm organizing it, to be quite honest with you. But I'm loving it because, you know, like I said in the past, these aren't things that I wouldn't do. These are things I wouldn't imagine to do in my wildest dreams. And here I am, you know? And I think just the thought of having the ability and having just the drive, the imagination to do all of these wild, crazy things. Like, what the heck? Why am I selling spicy honey? Where was that born? You know? And I'll talk about it later, but I'll just have you know that as random as it is, I'm loving every bit of it.
Yay. Right, yeah. And I can agree to that sentiment. Like, with everything that I have going on, and especially while I have this time to really reflect, I think the highlight of it all for me is just being the best and most positive version of myself. Really just like honing in on what do I want to accomplish, what kind of mark do I want to leave on the world. And because I'm doing so much, like, yeah, it sometimes gets a little overwhelming, sometimes it gets a little hard, but I think it's been very humbling to especially take a look back on, I never thought that I would even be going to professional school. I never thought I would be going to dental school. I never, ever, ever could have imagined having a podcast. I could have never imagined having like my own brand, my own platform. And so I think that's the most humbling aspect for me, just to really see how much growth I've achieved by just putting my mind to something and just doing it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's amazing, and it's hard. It's hard because a lot of people can't do that in their environment, depending on their environment. But to that, I would say first and foremost, it's obviously still possible. I think that there's all these kinds of different beautiful stories of people who come up from little to nothing. And so if you can just adjust your focus, get a little bit of tunnel vision, you can literally accomplish anything, because everything you need comes from within, right, Allison?
Absolutely. And if it doesn't, then Chelsea and I are going to give you the resources.
Right. And that's when you join our Facebook group or something, because we're going to be talking all types of stuff.
Right. Yeah, so I think to kind of to tie it all together, I had stumbled across something on Twitter, and it was a video. It was a video of a boyfriend and a girlfriend arguing because the girl had started an OnlyFans page. And so if you don't know what an OnlyFans is, listen to Savage by Megan Thee Stallion featuring Beyonce, and you'll kind of get a synopsis on what OnlyFans is. But essentially, the girl had started an OnlyFans account, and the boyfriend was opposed to it. So with that, she then asked him, well, are you going to pay my bills? So let me just give my little opinion on OnlyFans real quick. OnlyFans is dope if that is your line of work. I feel like this day and age, a lot of people are seeing it as a cop-out. Like, they are acting like they don't have any other options. And I feel like a lot of people are not utilizing their creativity. Like, a lot of people can have very successful YouTube channels, very successful podcasts, very successful blogs. I know a lot of people who are really great authors. And I feel like a lot of people are like, okay, well, it's easy if I just go get naked, bend over real quick, and take a picture from behind. And now I'm just going to, I'm going to have wealth. And I feel like a lot of people are looking at as, okay, this isn't my career. This isn't something that I even want to do. This isn't something, I don't want people to look at me and see my whatever parts. But people are just doing it as, in my opinion, I feel like a lot of people are doing it for cop-outs, or just to say, oh, I have money, or, oh, well, I'm successful, or, oh, this is the way I plan to fund a house. You feel me?
Yeah.
Where do you even tie that into the grand scheme of things?
Yeah, that's really interesting, because I'm probably not really seeing what you're seeing on your Twitter feed, because I know about OnlyFans, and I think that there's a couple of friends or mutual friends from San Diego who have made accounts. But I think I agree with you. I haven't fully made my opinion on OnlyFans yet, but I do find that I think it's becoming popular for the wrong reasons. I think everything that you're saying, I don't think that this should be an easy side hustle that people just get into, especially for our younger folks who are now, easily looking up these things and know what an OnlyFans is because of Beyonce and Megan Thee Stallion. It's oh, wait, what? I can make a couple $100s from home, and I don't even have to leave my house, and I can keep it a secret from my parents. I definitely think of youth when I think of OnlyFans and getting that quick cash, and thinking that they can build an empire from it, when it's a little bit not that way whatsoever.
Right. Like imagine me telling you I want to be a dentist, but in the meantime, I'm going to sponsor it with an OnlyFans, and then 5 years down the line, I have a patient who is subscribed to my OnlyFans. Like, how do you even draw the line between like professionalism and I don't know. Just yeah, all that. Like I feel like a lot of people are not putting a lot of thought into it. I feel like a lot of people are just like, "Oh, let me just go make this money." And then even in the video the girl was like asking the boyfriend, "Well, are you going to pay my bills?" And I
Yeah.
don't know. I feel like our generation is too focused on like, "Oh, I got to be made by 22 years old," and that's not realistic.
It's really
Rihanna
not.
might have done it, Beyonce might have done it, but we are not them and they are not
That is a
us.
harsh reality to figure that out after high school, because I really thought that I was going to have my life together by this point.
Right. Like
But I
even a
don't.
year ago, even a year ago when you were first graduating, you're like, "Okay, well, I'm going to be in school and I'm going to be building towards,
Yeah.
this thing that I want to do for the rest of my life." And even since then, that's changed, but I'll tell you what, I don't think at any point I've been like, "Yeah, let me just get naked for strangers."
Yeah.
Which is it's dope if that's what you want to do. If you really want to make a career out of it, but people got to be careful cuz the internet is forever.
And that's true. And I think also one thing that we're not really considering is that, like, maybe some people, they don't take all of the, like, the whole symbolism of sending nudes out or giving, sexual pleasures to, folks that you don't know. Maybe people really don't see a big deal in that. And I do, but that's just me. That's just us.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think a lot of the people who are doing it like of course self gratification, but a lot of them haven't also taken the time to reflect on how they view themselves. And I feel like once you are able to establish that boundary for what you deem acceptable or respectable with yourself, then that would kind of like navigate what you do with OnlyFans. But
Yeah. Yeah.
OnlyFans,
OnlyFans. I feel like, with all these controversial topics, it's like, to each their own. Hey.
To each their own. Well, let us go ahead and wrap up our very first episode of the Graduate Podcast. Thank you so much for anybody who is still here.
Thank you.
For anybody who is listening, for anybody who is sharing this on their Instagram pages and tagging us, for anybody who is tweeting us, for anybody who's on our Facebook page. We are so thankful to have you here, and we are so thankful to be building this community with you.
Yes, we love you to the bottom of our hearts. Until next time.
Until next time, y'all. See you.
Bye.